Recently, there's been a lot of discussion surrounding rumors about a new Animal Crossing game coming to Switch 2, which started with Beat 'em Ups, who, if you didn't already know, is a pretty popular Nintendo YouTuber, leaking a July Nintendo Direct coming in just a few weeks. It's already kinda weird for him of all people to be the leaker of the day, but at the same time, it kinda makes the leak more credible. Among other things, the leak direct's One More Thing is supposedly a reveal for the next Animal Crossing game, which is said to be coming next year in 2026. This is really exciting if it's true, as New Horizons hasn't received any new content in years. At least not official Nintendo-approved new content. So, before it's too late to speculate on what this new Animal Crossing game might look like, I'd like to go over what I think should be in the next game. As for features, there are a lot of things I'd like to see, but I'm going to focus on two categories mainly. Things from previous games that I think that have a good chance of being excluded from the next game, and new features or improvements that I think would be super cool to see in Animal Crossing. The first thing I think the next game should include is the DIY mechanics of New Horizons with a few improvements. Still, I'm not sure whether or not DIY or crafting as a whole will be in the next Animal Crossing, since it was kind of New Horizons' gimmick. Now you might think, of course DIY will be in the next game, but honestly I wouldn't be so sure. The big mechanic of New Leaf, for instance, was the mayoral duties of public works projects, but in New Horizons, public works projects were entirely replaced by the introduction of outdoor furniture, which wasn't even the central mechanic of the game. So I could see DIY getting replaced in the same way sometime in the future, despite it being such a big mechanic in New Horizons. But I do think that would be a huge disappointment. DIY really revolutionized the way that Animal Crossing is played, and so for example, instead of just gathering shells and fruit to sell, you can make things with them. Or instead of just chopping trees to get them out of the way, you can gather the wood from them to make other things. Or same thing with rocks. Instead of just hitting the rocks in order to get lucky and get the money rock, you can collect materials from them too. Another thing is it's really weird going back to New Leaf and catching snowflakes in the winter just to find out that they don't really do anything. And so I think in that way, DIY really ties together a lot of the elements of Animal Crossing and makes item collection a lot more involved than just checking the stores daily. So I really hope that it does come back. Although the existing system does have some issues. So I know this has been mentioned a million times, but the lack of bulk crafting is really frustrating, especially when it comes to crafting fish bait. As a modder of New Horizons, I've added and tried bulk crafting for fish bait already, and I can say it makes a huge difference in terms of quality of life. Look at that, 3 fish bait out of 3 clams, and I did it instantly. Yay! Another change I implemented was stackable manila clams, and that allows you to relax and dig for clams for a long time without getting your inventory full of them really fast. So both of these changes, the stackable clams and the bulk crafting, would be awesome to see in the next game, granted that DIY and clams both make a return. Another frustrating aspect of DIY is the fact that all the tools break, like all of them. At the very least, unbreakable golden tools would be a neat solution to the issue, but even making the base tools unbreakable like they were in every other game, excluding the axe, would be a huge improvement to the core gameplay. Tool durability in New Horizons feels less like a mechanic and more like a way to bloat the game and make DIY more important. But it doesn't really need to be more important. It's a cool feature as is, and DIY already has plenty of utility outside of crafting tools. Encroaching on regular gameplay by forcing the player to interact with crafting mechanics every so often is kinda just more annoying than fun, and I feel like it just makes you frustrated with the DIY system rather than excited by what it allows. So I hope the next game will include the improvement of just not having tools break at all, because that would just kinda make DIY its own thing instead of forcing you to use it all. As for some other returning features, I'd really love to see the perfect fruits and tropical fruits from New Leaf return in the next game. It was already really surprising that these were absent from New Horizons given its tropical theme, but their return in the next game could be a lot of fun. Not to brag, but my modded version already has all of these fruits, including bananas, lemons, mangoes, durians, lychees, all the sorts of perfect fruit, and just the amount of variety provided by these different fruit types allows you to decorate in much more unique ways. Aside from returning fruits, I'd also like to see new fruit trees like plums, apricots, or limes, or even new kinds of fruits that are more like variants of original fruits. Things like red pears, green apples, black cherries, and more could allow some nice variety in fruits. I could even imagine an entire new system of hybridized fruits, similar to the way that flowers work already. Maybe instead of just getting the perfect fruit immediately and really easily like you did in New Leaf, maybe you had to like unlock them by hybridizing different kinds of cherries until you finally get the perfect cherry type. I think that would be really cool to have that kind of system for gardening. Speaking of which, why can't bush flowers already breed the same way that flower plants can? I think it would be really cool to see hybridized azaleas, for instance, instead of just pink and white variants. And why not add new hybrid colors of existing flower types too? Having more decoration options would be a ton of fun, and harder gardening challenges similar to blue roses would give the most motivated of gardeners more to work towards for a long amount of time. The last thing I want to say that I really am hoping for in the next game is something like Main Street. In City Folk, we had the city, in New Leaf, we had Main Street, and in New Horizons, we have Harv's Island. And while all of these act similarly, I have to say that New Leaf's implementation of this sort of gathering place idea works the best, mainly because of the numerous upgrades you could do to Main Street. So, like, you could unlock a flower shop, a shoe shop, a hairstylist, fortune teller, the dream suite, an upgrade to the museum, which sold silver tools and other cool items. There were 5 separate upgrades to the Nookling store instead of just 1, and the last of these upgrades included an entire new store inside of it, and Main Street even included a nightclub. This area just had so much to do, and it really sold the idea of the town upgrading over time in New Leaf, in my opinion, because when you first get there, it's like a whole dilapidated area. It's just a street with, like, nothing going on, and then after a few years, you're able to, like, turn it into this bustling town, and it's really fun to see it progress in that way. By comparison, New Horizons only included one shop upgrade and then the two shop buildings, the tailors and the regular shop. And I think the Harv's Island idea was kind of lackluster and barely useful compared to Main Street. Even though I do think it was one of the best additions in New Horizons 2.0 update, I just don't think it really I don't think it really expressed the idea in the same way that Main Street did. It just didn't have as much utility to it, which was a big problem because it only updates once a week. So there's not really a great reason to go to Harv's Island a lot compared to Main Street, which updated every single day. But I'd really like to see something along those lines in Animal Crossing 6. I'm probably gonna do a video, another one soon, talking about what shouldn't be in the next game, like what I wouldn't like to see in it. I'm really curious about what you guys think, what you'd like to see in the next game, how you think the systems of New Horizons might be improved, and what you think of my ideas. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.